And we're back here. So what you want to do to load the image now is you want to do content dot load. Then you're going to do texture to D because we defined it as texture to D earlier. Then you're going to put in the path to the green mushroom, which is going to be img /green mushroom. Let me explain this for a second. This is the file name, green mushroom. Don't add the X and B. Remember that. And remember the at signifies it's a directory. And don't forget that. And this must be a backslash, not a forward slash. Now it should run without errors, hopefully. If it doesn't load correctly, make sure the values for your image are set like that. Okay, now how exactly do we draw this? Well, what you need to do is begin this sprite batch, which will essentially begin the drawing, or drawer, or however this thing draws. You're going to put sprite batch.draw. Then you're going to input your texture to D, which is green shroom. Then your other texture, or rectangle, green shroom R. Then you're going to put a color to modify it, such as like color.aqua will give your image an aqua tint, but to have it no tint, you just want to have it be white. And if we run this, nothing is going to happen. And it's going to crash. Why? Why'd it crash? Well, while we began the sprite batch, we need to end it. Otherwise, it's not going to work out well. So once we do that, we have our nothing. We have nothing. But why do we have nothing? It's not good to have nothing, but yet we have nothing. And you'll see here that while we may have defined the green shroom, we never defined the green shroom rectangle to actually contain the shroom. So we need to do the rectangle and declare a new rectangle. Basically, how this works is we're going to first put in the width, X position. I'll just do 100. Then the Y position. And you can do the width and height. And yeah, you need to do the width and height, which will be, we'll just say 200 by 200. And now once we got that done, we can hit Control R, F5. For me, I changed the settings, so Control R runs it. So never mind that. And you see we have a little green mushroom there. We drew an image, hooray! And well, that may be great. It's kind of hard actually to do that. And so, how do I make this easier? Well, first I'm just going to remove this drawing code to show off that it'll still run just fine. And what we're going to do is actually make it easier to draw images. Now download img.mgr from the description.cs, and remember to change the namespace to whatever namespace it says at the top here. And you could copy and paste the data by adding add new item, or existing item. You can add a CS file you downloaded, or you could manually copy and paste the text data. But once you do, you have my image manager. But that's not it. In the content folder, you need to create a new file called imglist.txt. And basically, this first line could be whatever you want it to be. You can just make a note to yourself. This line can do nothing. or that line actually does nothing, sorry. And now we're going to go to the images tutorial. But first, let's look at the syntax here. You're going to put a number equals img/green mushroom. Basically, it's your path to the image. img/green mushroom, blah, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then the next one could still be 1 equals img. Now, this ID, these is the image IDs. Like image ID 1 would correspond to this green mushroom here. And this would, even though I declared it as 1, it would still count as ID 2. Because it doesn't go by numbers here, it goes by lines. So you would still have to put 2. Putting 1 will just do nothing. Now let's actually use this to draw an image. So we're just going to declare an image manager, img manager. I'm just going to call it img mgr, just like that. For sanity reasons, I'll just do that. And now we're going to, in the load content, define the image manager. Make sure it's after sprite batch. You're going to do image manager equals new image mgr. Then you're going to put in the sprite batch, which is by default that, and you're going to put in the content. And there you go. You got new image manager. Now, in order to use your images, you of course need to do .load images. Otherwise, if you don't do this, you'll get an error if you try and draw an image, because obviously you need to load the images before you can draw them. So now that we have our image list built, let's make sure everything is working out here. In the image list.txt, make sure it's in the content file. It needs to be set as content, and it must be copy if newer. Otherwise, it will not work correctly. Now in the draw folder here, let's actually draw an image. We're going to put in lowercase, img manager dot draw image. And here's how we can do it. We can just simply put in the X and the Y, like that. But you're saying it, obviously, we can't just put in the X and Y because it's asking for an image ID. Like, okay, I get that you want to draw an image, but what ID of the image you're going to draw here? Now, if we look into image list.txt, this is ID number 1 because this is line 0 in the text file and this is line 1. So this will always be image ID 1, and you must have these two there. Just because of the IDs, that doesn't mean you can't. I just put them there in case you need to reference yourself image IDs better, which isn't that bad of a thing. And now you can draw the images. Okay, cool. We have our mushroom built, or shown. How do we make it smaller? We can also define the width and height. Let's say I want to make it smaller. And now we have a teeny tiny green mushroom way up there. Basically, that's how you draw images. Now, if you want to add another image, you would obviously need to put another image in the img folder, or anywhere actually, and you would need to point to it in the content.txt, and you would make a new line or like that. And then rather than using ID 1, you would use ID 2, and so on. Now you can't exactly tint the images yet, because I never really bothered to make that feature yet. But if you want to add it manually, you could. Like, say you're really disappointed on how this works, and maybe for the one that defines the width and height, you'd actually want to have a color. So in this draw image function, I'm just going to replicate it. And then I'm going to put color. Basically, I'm just going to do that. Now, once I do that, you can put in the width and height. I'm just going to do the default 256. Or I can leave it like that, or I can add a color now, and I could do color dot aquamarine, for example. And there we go. We can now tint the image if you want to do. Basically, this image manager, you can modify it however you want. It's at the end, it's standard C/, and it's a fairly simple class to handle images. So you can play around with it however you want. Like, you can change the name of the text file. Like, what if you wanted to put .data? You can just put .data, and finally .data. And of course, you would need to rename that to .data for it to work. And if I run it, it'll still work because I just fixed it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you basically learned something, and I hope my image manager will help you out for drawing images somewhat easier.